Hey guys, let me turn the Pat McAfee off real quick here. God, enough of that dipshit. This is a music update. I wasn't expecting to do one, but I wanted to do one real quick before I start off and venture on my England trip, which starts in 2 weeks. So, a little less than 2 weeks. March or May 9th, I'll be flying out. March 9th, May 9th, I'll be flying out. So I wanted to do another quick video. Thanks for watching the Records for Day Pickups. I marveled at the fact that this channel is still going. You know, even though I don't get a ton of views, I'm certainly happy with the traffic I get because it's much easier to do. It's much easier. Like if I wanted to quit, no one would really pay attention to that. Whereas in like if somebody like the Professor Norm Maslow quits or Bob Bradley or these people who are, and nothing against those people, but they have like thousands and thousands. Brendan Schneider being another one. These people have a lot of views, and like it's not like they have to answer to anybody, but it's more like, you know. Whereas for me, it's like, you know, I could just get off anytime I want. So, boy, that sounded bad. So let's start out. I got a lot of 7 inches to show this time around. Probably more 7 inches than anything. A handful of cassettes, some CDs, 7 inch singles, and some vinyl. So let's get into it. But before we show that, I want to show you a DVD and a book I got. The DVD, American Hardcore. And if you guys have seen this, I've seen this movie too many fucking times to count. It came out in like the 2000s. I forget the year it came out, and it's American Hardcore 80 to 86, basically the birth of hardcore and the breakup of hardcore. And it's riveting. It's really an interesting. This is probably my favorite hardcore documentary. I just watched this thing to death when it, like, when it came out. I rented it from my local video store, and I wasn't working at the time. I probably watched it every day for a while. There's a huge emphasis in here on Minor Threat, in Bad Brains, and Black Flag, as there would be, but maybe too much emphasis on this and not enough on the other states. They should have made this into a series because it really covers, like they covered Texas barely, they barely cover North Carolina. Indiana's kind of an afterthought in it, and just a lot of states are kind of ignored for the most part. Barely touches on Canada even, but I guess this is American hardcore, not Canada hardcore, right? But yeah, it's still good. So I'm so happy to get this. This one was $5. Bunnyman, the book on Will Sargent. This came out in 2021 off of TMB Entertainment, TMB Books, and it's basically the story about like how he grew into becoming a bunnyman, and how Will Sargent became kind of a sort of originator in guitar styles and tones and stuff like that for like sort of, I don't know, college rock, indie rock, college rock, not indie rock, college rock, or you know, they kind of were gothic-y a little bit, even though they would never claim to be such things, you know. So if you like Echo and the Bunnymen, you'll like this. This is about their lead guitarist, Will Sargent. I think he's their lead guitarist. So cassettes, let's just get through them. I had a bunch I got from a thrift store, but I didn't want to show them because they're kind of common. I'm going to show this one now. Johnny Cash, Fools in Prison. This is pretty cool to get on cassette. This goes without question being one of the great live albums ever, so I don't need to really get into that. But if you guys love Johnny Cash, this is considered the greatest country album of all time by some people. I think that's a fair cry to say no, because A, it's not all country music. Some of this is rock and roll, and B, to each their own. It's definitely not my favorite country album of all time. I don't even know if it's my favorite Johnny Cash album. It's definitely up there. I mean, I listen to this shit to death, you know. This is really cool to get on cassette. I just wanted to show this one. There was a bunch of like Buddy Holly and Chuck Berry and Hank Williams, and I just figured that might bore people, but Johnny Cash I don't think is going to bore anybody. Alright, I'm going to move this camera back just a tangent bit because I feel like it's just getting too close to me. There we go. Yes, that's Rocky, in case you guys wondered. Yeah. I didn't want to show that in frame, but it might be better than I do. Okay, enough Blair Witch camera movement. Let's keep moving here. Put these cassettes up here. Edie Brickell. I have like 2 copies of this, so I bought another one. Shooting rubber bands at the Stars. Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, I should say. 1989 release. Of course, this propped her big single, What I Am, which is a great song. Is this 88 or 89? 88. So it was an 88 single, or was it 89 that this single came up? Probably 88. That song is kind of psychedelic and funky and folky and kind of more psychedelic and funky, kind of low key. This is a good album by her. I had her follow-up album I didn't like as much as this. I just think that she's a really good songwriter. The lyrics are sort of like cryptic. They don't make a lot of sense at times, and then they make whole sense at times with songs like Circle. We're a part of your circle of friends, and we realize you don't come around anymore, or whatever. I mean, pretty simplistic there, but kind of vague in What I Am song. What's the other song I like on here? Little Miss S is good. Air December. Let's see. Beat the Time is a cool track on here. College rock with a low key kind of feel to it, a little funk, little sass. And when you see her perform live, if you've seen her, and I haven't seen her live, but I've seen YouTube clips, you can kind of tell why Paul Simon fell in love with this woman. And she's got something to her. She's definitely got a sass. So Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, their first album, Shooting Rubber Bands, at the Stars. I said under the stars, at the Stars. I'm trying not to make mistakes in this. I've looked at my old videos, and it's terrifying. Staying on the 90s, this is Meryl Bainbridge, and this is The Garden, which is a 95 release off of the Geffen label. Australian singer, had a big hit called Mouth that came out in 95. Hit was on the radio, probably top 40 hit too. Sugary coated pop, done very seductively, and it's really cool. It's really cool. So if you haven't heard this, it's kind of lush in simplistic pop. Not lush, as I say, simplistic, sugary, almost indie-esque, but college radio-friendly pop. I should say almost indie-esque, but it quite isn't. It's kind of real poppy too. So I enjoy the fuck out of this. That Mouse song is irresistibly catchy. So yeah, the guy I bought this for $3, and Doug said it was gothic rock. The Doug who owns the store, and it's like he can't keep a beat on everything of what it sounds like. But sometimes, like when he describes something, it's like that's not gothic rock. It's pop. Two by the same artist, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on these. Herbie Hancock's Feet Don't Fail Me Now. This one was $4, and this one was $5. Mr. Hands. This is the electronic era of Herbie Hancock. Mr. Hand is more kind of, to me, more fusionist. A little bit more fusion, but it's still electronic. Spiraling Prism is a cool song on here. Calypso and The Wonderful Just Around the Corner. This came out in 1980. And this one came out, Family 9, 1979. This one I think is a little bit better. This is really fucking cool. I dare call this even jazz and say it's more like fucking electronic funk. It is super catchy and uses a vocoder. And yeah, in 1979 that was a little bit more like, you know, a little bit more groundbreaking than, you know, nowadays. What is the killer song on here? You Bet Your Love is great. Ready or Not. Honey from the Jar is fucking funky as fuck, man. Yeah, get your friends for a dance party and put this fucking thing on. It's great. Alright. Two more. I have I'll show you this one came out I think in 2023 maybe. Data Doom, Frankie and the Witch Fingers. This one was $11. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed this one. I can't deny I kind of did. These guys are transplants from Indiana that I think moved to Los Angeles, or they're from California, or they're based in California now. I'm not sure what members came from Indiana, but um, high energy, rhythmic sort of indie punk band that has are kind of has a little bit of synth punk textures in there. Very very crazy live band for sure. That have kind of built a following for being a really good live act. So I just decided to take a chance on Frankie and the Witch Fingers, and I liked it. But there's a great live clip of them on KXEP, or I think that's the YouTube channel that has like live acts, and they're on there, and they're absolutely exceptional. They're great live. And here's the one that I picked up that I'm kind of kicking myself for, but I live what I live with. A brand new release, which you never see on this show because I don't usually buy brand new music out the box, but this was just released last week. Ghost in Skeleton. So it's a 25 release, obviously, being brand new. Kind of cool, the purple cassette, or purple. It's probably not a purple cassette. I don't know. But I'm not a big fan of Ghost. This was a total impulse buy because I saw it for $11 and I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll get it and see if I like it. I bought their first album, or got their first album as a Christmas present years back, and I liked it at the time. I listened to it again years later, probably 10 years later, and I fucking hated it. And it's got kind of a Blur's to cult thing going for it, which I should like, and it's cult rock, but I definitely didn't like. This, I think that these guys are kind of doing something kind of interesting, adding elements of almost like pop, metal pop. I mean, it's almost like Lady Gaga, into sort of a theatrical, conceptual thing. It's interesting. It's more interesting to me than it actually is anything. So there it is. I just want to make sure you guys can see it. Ghost. So Ghost. This is a band that has a lot of haters, and I could definitely see why. But I'm on the fence about this group still to this day. I've never been like a huge fan of those guys, but I thought, and this is the problem when you say, well, I'll give it a shot, and then, and then you buy it, and then you realize you shouldn't have fucking bought it. There it is, Ghost. Oh, sorry, Ghost Skeleton. Let's get into the CDs. I don't got many of those, and then we'll get into the 45s, which I do have a lot of those. So the two CDs I got, there were $3, and everything else was like $5 and above. And this one is really interesting. 10,000 Maniacs Hope Chest with the Fredona recordings 82 through 83. So this has 10,000 Maniacs' earliest recordings from their first two albums, which I did not know they went back to 1982. Okay, 1982, 1983 for their first recordings before, of course, some of the Blind Man's Zoo and some of those albums that came out a little bit later on, which I like. I'm a fan of 10,000 Maniacs, but this really surprised me. This is musically, in my opinion, the most adventurous this band got. I mean, that just the musicality is so interesting. They're going like new wave on the first song, Planned Obsolescence, to like total reggae for what is it? Katrina's Fair? Is that the one that's like that? I think it is. To kind of wonky indie pop and National Education Week. This is an interesting record by them, and I would highly suggest going and listening to this yourself. It is unbelievably interesting. Fucking 10,000 Maniacs. Who would have fucking thought? That's what that CD thing had flipped off, right? Who would have ever thought that they would be, like, this is so interesting. This is like something I'll like recommend to somebody just because they won't think it is. World Party, and this is Goodbye Jumbo. Yeah, the poor man elephant. By I think Welsh or Scottish. Born Carl Wellinger. It's his solo. It's basically the man behind the project, and there is a bit of everything in here. I mean, bluesy, kind of folky, idiosyncratic sort of indie pop rock. with hands in, like, to me, a little bit of Warren Zevon, somewhat, I think. And I think some of this sounds pre-Beck Odelay, too. But great songs like Way Down Now, Is It Too Late, and the terrifically beautiful I Fell Back Alone. This is a great, great record by World Party. Probably the finest release in his repertoire, in his discography. Just my opinion. So I'm trying to get to these other ones. So here is a sticker for a CD I got of a group called Solo, a one-man project. Here's the sticker, Fisher Price Guillotine, and here is the CD. So let me scoot back a little bit here. Fisher Price Guillotine with Decay release. I just listened to this today. Sarasota, individual solo project by, and I'm not sure his name, but he's from Sarasota, I believe. And this is like synth dance music, electronic dance music. Some of it's got hip hop samples. It kind of veers off to being a little strange, and then sort of kind of like calms itself down a bit for it to be kind of, I don't know, normal or whatever you want to fucking call it. But it is really interesting fucking electronic music. You could dance to it, you can kind of like hum to it somewhat, but you're also kind of like, this is fucking bizarre a little bit. So it's interesting that he's trying to get people to groove and move, and also at the same time leave you guessing on what the fuck's coming next, like what chord change or what melody or what weird noise is coming next. So a tad bit experimental, I would say, a little bit, but good job, Fisher Price Guillotine and the guy behind the project. You've done good work here. This is really interesting music, I think. Tampa Bay band, and I quite like this. This is Black Valley Moon, and this is the Baleful Sounds of Black Valley Moon. This is off of Shirarji Records. Sorry, I gotta grab my Shirarji Records, which I'm not sure where that's from, but this is supposed to be like a combination of like sort of horror music, you know, rockabilly, glam, but I really thought when I was listening to this, it's mostly like surf instrumental and quite good, really catchy, very lean and light, but bouncy enough to keep you moving. I like me some surf rock. And I thought maybe I'm wrong, but I listened to about half this album and it was pretty consistent with that sort of like surf rock stuff. And Sam, I think Williams is his name. Yeah, Williams, who was in Down by Law, is in this band, and they're based out of Tampa. So, two local projects for you guys to, or bands or whatever, for you guys to taste. Pretty cool stuff. Two CDs, also two more CDs, and this one was $7, and I think I have this, but I wanted an upgrade. Robert Johnson, the complete recordings. This was released, I think, in 1991, and it's an absolute classic. I mean, this is like, to me, this is like, if I had to have like 100 records that were like, I had to have in my collection, this would definitely be one of them. I listened to this a lot. It's not just his guitar playing, it's the sort of sultriness in his voice that gets me sometimes. I do like the way he plays guitar. I think it's sort of interesting that it comes across as almost like kind of almost like funky in a way. At least some of the songs, you know. But he's definitely got an interesting style to what he's trying to do. I'm going to try to stay away from saying really, because I say that a lot. I've been watching a lot of my videos and I say that too much. I really enjoy this. Oh, fuck me. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to go into this further. Favorite songs on here. I believe I'll Dust My Broom, of course, is great. Sweet Home Chicago. Ramblin' on My Mind is one of my favorite tracks. Acoustic blues from the 30s. And I'm not going to get into talking about the Crossroads and all that. You guys can research it if you don't know. And speaking of Will Sargent, who I showed the book earlier, I've been on a kick with this band lately, Echo and the Bunnymen, and here is the Killing Moon singles 80 through 90 of Echo and the Bunnymen. Pretty cool to have on the Warner Brothers release. It's got the Killing Moon on here, maybe one of the greatest songs from the 80s. That's up to debate, of course, but it is quite exquisite and gorgeous in a way. The Cutter's a cool song on here. Bring on the Dancing Horses. People Are Strange, of course, which was on the Lost Boys soundtrack. Lots of good songs. Lips Like Sugar is not on here, which is kind of interesting because I always thought that was one of the biggest hits. That was that Stars and Signs, Signs and Stars, or whatever from the first album. It's not on here either, but pretty cool to have. And that is it for the cassettes, CDs, book, and DVD. We're going to get into the 45 singles. I got a lot here to show you, so I'm going to try to fly through these because I want to have time really to kind of go through the albums. I got some really cheesy fucking records, so. Well, at least one that's kind of cheesy. So, well, two. So, I'll probably take a break at that point real quick before we go further on. Or do I don't know, did I put them in here? Shit. I don't see them. Well, we'll figure it out. Alright, so the first one I want to show, not that one, is Mike Oldfield's Moonlight Shadow with the B-side Right of Man. At this point, Mike Oldfield's so new age. I mean, he's always been new age, but this is new age sort of like, if you needed music for fucking Lord of the Rings, you know, like Lorena McKettit sort of, I don't know if it's that bad, but, or, you know, I like Lorena McKettit. Never mind, I say. But, yeah, off the Virgin label. The B-side is cool. Right of Man is a good track on here. Maggie Riley does the vocals for Moonlight Shadow. It's kind of a ballad. It's what you would expect. I like Mike Oldfield. I find myself like always finding his stuff, tracking it down, finding it, and buying it. It's weird. That one was 50 cents. Some of these I'm going to show you are 50 cents. Are crazy, really good. And this is probably the steal of the day. Talk Talk. This one was 50 cents with the song Talk Talk and the B-side Mirror Man. Both great tracks from their first album, which is The Party's Over from 1983. At the time, Talk Talk was considered to be a heavy sort of they were heavily compared, I should say, to Duran Duran. And I always thought there was more to this band. Now, I don't like Duran Duran, so I don't necessarily think that's an insult, but, you know, this band went on to have more kind of they were kind of new agey a little bit, but they had sort of a sparseness to them, and obviously somewhat, I would say, an experimental edge in that sort of, I don't know, like electronic soundscape shit that really heavily influenced Radiohead. I mean, that's the obvious, like when I think of Radiohead, I think of like influences. I think a lot of Talk Talk. As Long As You Follow, Fleetwood Mac. This is cool to get for 50 cents. And Oh Well, live. This is off the greatest hits, and it comes with a little record spindle, so I don't even have to put anything on there. Good single. I think this came out in 88. Christine McVie led. Pretty kind of mellow song. Don't see a lot of Fleetwood Mac singles, so I'll grab them. Two that are awesome back to back. I love this band. Kinks with Destroyer, and the B-side, the rockin' badass Back to Front. Both are from Give the People What They Want. Back to Front's a rocker, and of course Destroyer's a rocker. And Give the People What They Want was like Ray Davies basically making in front of, like, kind of, I think making it in front of like arena rock bands, a sort of, but mostly about like record companies and what he thought they wanted at the time. So he gave it to them. So, or maybe he was talking about the fans, but Destroyer rips, and so does fucking Back to Front. I love it when the Kinks rip up. I'm a more of a fan of their rock stuff than of their like folky and like sort of poppy stuff. I'm a bigger fan of When They Rock. One of their best singles, Better Things, also off the Give the People What They Want, and the great rocker Yo-Yo, the B-side. I don't even know if you can see that, but the Kinks. Super Freak, Rick James, Volume 1, Part 1, and Part 2 on the Gordy label. Probably one of the more interesting to me singles that was released in 1981. It's such a great song, and of course they still use that sample. I mean, MC Hammer used it, but I think I've heard other hip-hop artists use it as well from the song. But so innovative, so funky, so dirty. I felt like when I heard Super Freak when I was a kid, when I heard Super Freak when I was a kid, I was like, this felt wrong listening to it. It just felt so wrong. It felt so adult and dirty, but I was so intrigued by that. Gemini Dream, the Moody Blues on the Threshold label. I'd love to get the picture sleeve to this, and the B-side is Painted Smile. I'm a huge fan of the Moody Blues, so getting their 45 singles is fucking awesome. And I'm happy to get this. Painted Smile is an interesting sort of almost like quirky vaudevillian-esque type number by Ray Thomas sang and wrote. And Gemini Dream is a weird song from the early 80s. Kind of an up-tempo track. I don't even know how to describe Gemini Dream. It's a very strange song, but it's good. And then the follow-up single to that was the excellent The Voice, maybe their best single from the 80s. It's something compelling, mysterious, beautiful. Fucking the guitar playing in this is great. Justin Hayward's vocals are fucking terrific. I mean, this is Justin Hayward at his damn finest, in my opinion. I mean, he's been great on other things too, but and the B-side is 22,000 Days, which I think is also off Long Distance Voyager. And here's the thing, guys. Long Distance Voyager actually hit #1 on the album charts. And if you look back, their album that they made previously, Octave, which is a great record, Step Into the Slide Zone was a hit for him, and The Beautiful Driftwood, I think, had some radio airplay, maybe not. Those were like the bigger singles, I think, on that album. Driftwood, maybe, I think so, but I can't confirm 100%. And anyways, that album didn't sell very well. And, 3 years later, they have 2 big hits, and their album goes #1. Long Distance Voyager is the best album they made in the 80s, in my opinion. And I like their albums from the 80s, too, which I think get kind of overlooked in the mess of things. The funky novelty song here from Chicago, I believe they're from Chicago or Illinois, The Funky Judge by Bull and the Matadors. And the B-side is The Funky Judge 2 off of Tulid Town Records. Good soul funk from the late 60s, maybe? Late 60s, early 70s? Maybe early 70s. Fun song, soul funk, novelty song. What year did this come out? It doesn't say. So, Toddling Town Records. These ones I just picked up Saturday, and these are fucking ridiculous. But I thought I got some good value ones here in a second. I'll show them to you. But this is the I-95 Asshole Song by August Campbell and the Spur of the Moment Band. And the B-side is Lost Horizons. This came out in 1988. And it's country music. It's country music, but it was on a fucking jukebox. Pretty sweetness, huh? It's on a fucking jukebox. It's country, novelty, goofy country, kind of pop country sounding. I just took a chance on it. I love novelty songs, and we just heard Funky Judge, so you guys got more than what you probably bargained for here. So, yeah. All right. This one is great. This was a good pickup. On the Buddha label, I have the Lemon Pipers with Green Tambourine and No Help for Me, the other single. No Help for Me is kind of more like, almost sounds kind of garagey, more kind of garage and like heavy psych rock. And Green Tambourine, of course, is a psychedelic pop greatness, I guess, you know. And this is a band whose label was pushing them to go more psychedelic, in which they had no problem doing so. So, Lemon Pipers. I love that 60s psych stuff. I don't have a lot of it. For 50 cents, it's damn worth it. And then Two by the Monkeys. It's, I don't know, I think it's D.W. Washburn, and which is a crazy, stupid song. Well, not crazy, but a silly, stupid song by them. And the other song is It's Nice to Be With You on the Coal Jam label, too. So I love the Monkees. I have no apologies about how great the Monkees are, you know. To me, they're fucking great. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you'll put the fucking White Stripes in, but you won't put the Monkees in. Give me a break. Not that the White Stripes don't deserve it, but the Monkees deserve it a hell of fuck more than the White Stripes, in my opinion. And that's not a dig on the White Stripes. I think they're good, but, you know. And Daydream Believer, A-side. And the B-side, the funky, jazzy, goofy sort of Going Down, which is one of my favorite Monkees songs, once again. These labels are a little kind of old, but the singles just need to be cleaned and they're fine. Here's Going Down, which is great, and Daydream Believer, written by Mr. Neil Diamond, I believe. I thought he wrote. No, he didn't write it. Was that John Stewart that wrote it? I thought for sure that Neil Diamond. Oh, I'm a Believer, Neil Diamond did. Never mind. Never mind. I'm off on things. I'm a Believer is the Neil Diamond one. So, the rest are $3 to $5 or $6. Just a few more left to show to you. Love Hurts, Nazareth. This one was $3. Picture sleeve. It's worth getting because the B-side is Hair of the Dog. Fucking love Nazareth, man. Pretty cool to get this on 45. I still don't have Hair of the Dog on fucking vinyl. I need to get that. I love that record. I don't know how many times I listened to that record. I got back when I was younger. It's so fucking good, you know. Yeah. I love Nazareth. They're great. Love Hurts is kind of cheesy, but I kind of like it. I always picture 13-year-old me in 1977 making out with some girl while that song is playing at a roller rink. Which probably happened for some people, but not me, because I don't know how to skate. Alright, let's stay on task here because I'm trying to get these done. You Better You Bet. I thought this was cool. This one was $3 too, picture sleeve. And the great B-side song written and sang by John Entwistle, The Quiet One. And both of these are from the Face Dances album. I really like this. And this single was released before the album came out, I believe. So You Better You Bet is definitely one of their bigger hits that came a little bit later on for them. And such a catchy song, kind of new wave, but it's got that typical like sort of adultery performance. I want to say I think You Better You Bet was probably written by Pete Townsend. It's that classic adultery vocal performance. He's such an underappreciated singer still, and yeah. Okay. You better. That was $3. This is great. We're getting close to being done with the 45s. In the Dark, Billy Squier. How awesome is this? Look at that. I love that cover and the backside. So when I bought this guy in the record store was kind of shitting on Billy Squier. Not the owner, but one of the other person was kind of like, like making something up about like your Camaro and burning a doobie and shit. And all I said was, I think this is his best record. Don't Say No from the 80s. And I treated Billy Squier with some respect, which he deserves because he's great, in my opinion. And this guy just kind of shut his fucking mouth. And I'm telling you guys, I'm going to do a rant on music snobs. I fucking hate these people. Like, I don't hate the people. I hate their stupid ass attitude about music. It's so stupid. It's like if anything's on the radio, it's like the enemy. And it's so fucking dumb. It's because to me, it's like you shouldn't train your ear to say, "Oh, that's too commercial, mainstream." You should, you know, I mean, you could do what you want with your ear, I guess. But to me, I shouldn't say that. But to me, it's like training it on: do I like this or do I not like this? On the B side is, what do you want from me? This was the follow-up single to The Stroke, and a great, great song by Billy Squier. It's fucking awesome to get that, man. That's really cool. I was like happy as hell to get that. I'm trying to stay away from saying the words really and tickled. I say tickled a lot, I've noticed. I've been watching my old videos, and I'm trying to cut some of that shit out. 3 singles left. These were, 2 of them were $5 and the other one was $6. This is this one I picked up Saturday. Nick Dittmeyer with the song Running Away, and the B-side, I Ain't Superstitious. So doesn't he look a lot like fucking Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes? Is that eerie or is that just me? This just came out, I think, in 2024, yeah, on the Sonablast label. Nick Dittmeyer is from Indiana. I'm not sure where from Indiana, but. And the EP is actually called, this is actually an EP called Fast Fashion, but the singles are, like I said, if I hadn't said, Running Away and then I Ain't Superstitious. I can't remember if I said those or not. Running Away is a straight up country single, and he's got really nice, kind of quieted, but strong enough vocals to get the job done, you know. Not over singing, not overbearing, kind of gentle in a way, but a little husky, and a little like air in that fucking lung, if you know what I mean. And I don't know if you know what I mean. And the B-side is a song they were playing live, I Ain't Superstitious, the old blues standard. And that's more bluesy rock, but I think he's more country, I would say, Nick Dittmeyer. He should look at that. He looks a lot like Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes. All right, I'm trying to get these fucking. I was trying to get this done on time, and you know, if you watch my episode, you know that's not gonna happen. So it's gonna be over an hour today, unfortunately. This is the band Mystery Girl, great band from New York and Albany, New York, I believe, and their single is Heartbreaker, and the B-side has a little bit of a glam to it called Salted Slug. So power pop, new wave sort of, but adding elements of glam and you know, and they're still in that indie rock spectrum. I thought that Heartbreaker was a great single, but Salted Slug might be even better. Really catchy shit. I love pop revival shit. This is on a colored vinyl. There is Heartbreaker and Salted Slug. I'd say Salted Slug is musically the more adventurous of the two songs. If you want the more catchy of the two songs, I would say it's Heartbreaker. So good stuff here. Good kind of power pop, indie rock stuff. Really, really good stuff here. Mystery Girl. I like the name too. The last 45 to show you before I'm going to take a quick break is Swingin' Utters with Teen Idol Eyes. Yes, Santa Cruz-based band who'd been around since the late 80s. Street punk, pretty much. They're signed to Fat Wreck Records, and it's a label, like I know more about the label than I know the artist on the label. Not a fan probably of some of the artists on the label, but not like saying I won't buy anything by the group. This is on the TKO label, and which is a label I trust a little bit more. And I had to go back and listen to Fat Wreck stuff, see if I even like it. It was always a label I just kind of stayed away from. Kind of like Epitaph in the 90s. But by the time the 90s came around, Epitaph was good and bad. I sort of was like, you know, because some of it I just didn't like. But this is great fucking street punk. It's got a little bit of an oi to it. Good. It's got good. It's got a good like kind of bounce to it. Really good stuff. Teen Idol Eyes, and the B side is. What is the B side? To Return Now is the name of it. I'll show you that. You see the TKO on there someplace. Maybe right there. Barely see it, maybe. I don't know if you can see it or not. TKO Records. So, and that's it for the 45s. I told you I had a lot of 45s to show you. I got a lot of albums too, and I want to kind of. I wanted to show some novelty records, but I realized they're over there, and I don't want to. What I don't want to do is pause this thing and then be fucking wrecked because I paused it. So I'm just gonna go on. I got one novelty record of sorts, and this is a radio program record. I'm giving this one to my brother, but I thought it's kind of cool to show. The Shadow. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. And Shadow was an old radio program. And I think it became a comic, was a serial, all that stuff. Shadow had cool powers too. Not much to it. Hopefully what? Hopefully Lust. So that's weird. On the Nostalgia Lane record label out of New York. What's cool about this is one piece on here, Death from the Deep, was broadcast in 1937, starring the great Orson Welles. I don't know if I can show you that. I don't know if you can see it. And then the B side, Death Takes a Wife, was broadcast in 1946, starring Brent Morrison. So, just on black bottom. Pretty cool to have. I like radio plays, stuff like this. I was really into this shit back in the 2000s, where I'd buy a lot of these for my brother and then play them at the house while I was trying to write or clean or whatever I was doing back then. Doing something back then that was something somewhat productive. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to have room for this shit, so I'm going to put all that down there. This one, so this is going to be kind of an artist spotlight of somebody who I really appreciate, and I feel like he doesn't get a lot of love, and so maybe every now and then, because I was going to do one on Roy Clark too, but I don't have the time to go into great depth about him, but I'm just going to show you one of his albums that I just picked up. Yes, this is a dollar album, but I figured, you know what, let's get into discussion about the great Johnny Rivers. And this is Super PAC by Johnny Rivers, greatest hits compilation that came out in 1972 off of the United Artists label. Lots of good songs on here, of course, Secret Agent Man, Baby I Need Your Lovin', his covers of Memphis, Brown Eyed Handsome Man, and Promised Land, of course, songs written and performed originally by Chuck Berry. Lots of weird covers on here, especially the sort of classically tinged California Dreaming, and Whiter Shade of Pale is kind of a weird song. He does a lot of kind of oddball covers sometimes, but this guy, Johnny Rivers, one, is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Two, barely gets mentioned in the rock rates, but in the 60s, I think he was one of the more consistently, not only successful, but consistently productive, and I feel like good quality artist, an artist that had a lot of good quality, a lot of good songs. And he kind of went down that folky path a little bit, psychedelic, try to go down that path, even though he didn't really go down that completely. And then in the 70s, he kind of went soft rock, but he was a rock and roller, you know. He was a rock and roller who had a lot of fucking heart, in my opinion, and a lot to offer the world. So I feel like in some ways that Johnny Rivers is just completely miscast nowadays as being kind of an afterthought, and he's like fantastic, really, really quite good artist. So that's my overlooked artist on Johnny Rivers. Kind of really, it surprises me how good some of these artists, like even like Roger Miller was from the '60s, who gets completely his stuff is overlooked because the '60s music back in the '80s, in maybe partially '90s, what had a critical acclaim to it, like or a critical revival to it, more so probably in the '80s, and Johnny Rivers was not part of that critical sort of reclamation or looking at reviewing of the '60s, a reevaluation of the '60s artists like the Monkees were. So he was kind of forgotten about, and it's a damn shame because he's really a great artist, kind of like Johnny Tillotson and who's the other one, Gene Pitney. And I could go on '60s artists that don't get the love, but I'm not going to. But I am going to give some love to Giuffria, first album by the great Giuffria. Of course, Greg Giuffria from Angels band. This is his side project. They had 2 albums. Really glossy, sort of keyboard-driven, AOR kind of, borderline on hard rock. Definitely not metal. But I like Giuffria. I remember Call to the Heart when it came out as a kid. I liked that single. I thought it was quite good. Those vocals by, what's his name? David Glenn Isley are fucking ridiculous on this. This has got a nice ballad, or a nice mixture of ballads and rockers on this one, but lots of keyboards. So I think Giuffria was a pretty good band, kind of underlooked. And I'm starting a channel, or I'm working on a radio channel, and for strictly heavy metal music. I'm on the process of trying to work out the kinks, and I'm hoping that I'll have that online. And I'm going to do one on overlooked band or bands that should have been bigger. And Giuffria could have been a huge band, but they just weren't around long enough. And of course, I want to say, who's the other one? Greg Colby, or is it Chuck Wright? One of the other ones went on to form with Giuffria the excellent House of Lords that came out in the late '80s. They were fucking great too. So 2 of the members from this band went on to probably the more interesting musical group, House of Lords. Staying in the '80s, GTR, their first album and maybe only album by GTR. This is Steve Howe from Yes, Steve Hackett from Genesis, his band, and Max Bacon, who was in a really shitty metal band before this, and I can't remember the name of the band, but they weren't even really metal, and I've shown their video in other, God, you have to look up Max Bacon stuff, but the band he was in previously, like, they were signed to the Noise label, and they were supposed to be like, sort of trying to make them successful in America, and they sort of fucking sucked. And because they weren't really metal, they were more like AOR. So Max Bacon has got a great voice, but mostly for AOR hard rock more so than into metal, I think. This is kind of like progressive rock. I think it's kind of interesting. I like a lot of songs on here. When the Heart Rules the Mind, The Hunter, Sketches in the Sun is kind of more like, I think, progressive. So this straddles the line between AOR and progressive rock, and it's very poppy too. And yeah, I don't think that that's a bad thing, it being poppy. And this is off of the Arista label. I remember when the Heart Rules the Mind came out on released on the radio. I love that song. So some overlooked bands here, Giuffria and GTR. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to show these records too, because I like both these groups. So, but I think GTR only made 1 record. A lot of people think this record's weak and all that stuff, but fuck them, man. All right, let's keep moving, because I want to get this done. One classical one to show you, and I don't need to go into depths on this one, but because it's the great Ludwig van Beethoven on the Dutch Gramophone label, and he's doing Sonata for Piano and Violin number 9, which is the Kreutzer, and he's also doing Sonata for piano and Violin number 5, the Spring. And certainly these are, I think, two pieces that he was kind of occasionally working on. He wasn't into this like great depths of pain or anything when he made both. That's why it's kind of surprising, at least for Sonata the Kreutzer, that that's surprisingly kind of light. And the same thing with the first movement in Spring is kind of light too, which always surprises me when I'm always thinking of Beethoven's like dark, depressing, all this shit, but he can be kind of. I don't think he's quite as whimsical as like fucking Mozart got, but I definitely think he could get kind of there on the Dusch Gramophone label. So some kind of actually really nice and meditative sort of and playful, light, I hate to say it, but kind of is classical music from Beethoven. You know, I kind of don't mind this, to be honest. I mean, I'm surprised because I'm such a big fan of his, like, you know, obvious symphonies like everyone else, and some of those violin concertos he made, some of the later piano concertos he made were fucking intense. But yeah, why not? Beethoven. Can you go wrong with Beethoven? Last of $3 records before we're getting more of the high-end stuff, so we're getting to the end. Elton John's Captain Fantastic in the Brown Dirt Cowboy. I've never had this on vinyl, or if I have, I don't fucking remember having it. It's been that long. On the MCA label. MCA. This debuted, I'll tell you this much because I know this is true. This album debuted #1 on the Billboard album charts. Not debuted at #1. He did that twice. The other album was Rock of the Westies, which I think is a really good fucking album. I just thought it was time to take a chance on listening to this one. This is one I'm not really intimate with like I am with Madman Across the Water or Honky Chateau or the self-titled album or even Rock of the Westies or Don't Shoot, I'm Only the Piano Player. I know those albums quite better than this one, but this is one cohesive album. It's just really, really, really well done. The song Curtains on here is fucking fantastic. The riflely relaxed writing. The song Writing is terrific. Babel is a cool song on here. And, of course, this has got Philadelphia Freedom. And the wonderful... Does this got Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds on here? I think so. Does it? No, Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds isn't on here. What the fuck is my problem? Tower of Babel is the song I was thinking of. This has got Better Off Dead, and the big single on here, besides Philadelphia Freedom, is my favorite song on here, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. Written by Bernie Taupin about Elton John and his reluctance to marry somebody. You put your hooks in me, dear. You had me roped and tied. So Bernie not believing this marriage is going to work for Elton, and I think it did. I think that the wedding got called off. A nice assist by Bernie there saying, don't marry this crazy bitch. And I don't know if she's crazy, I don't know, but Elton's gay too, so, you know, marrying a woman, I mean, I'm pretty sure that would not make him happy unless he's bisexual. But whatever, you know. That's a whole nother story for another day, and I don't, you know, we're not talking about that here. Great album by him. Got a few from Stryper, the Yellow and Black Attack. Yummy. Great album by Stryper. 1984, their first release. It's on the Enigma label. This is an EP. It's got some good songs on here. Loud and Clear is terrific. From Wrong to Right. You Know What to Do is good. That's a good rocker. Come On Rock is great. You Won't Be Lonely is another good song on here. And I was reading the review on this Stryper, and it's kind of true with them. It's like, if they stay away from the fucking ballads, they're awesome. But when they do those ballads, it's like, oh my god. I don't even mind like when they do kind of a mid-tempo song that's supposed to be sweet, like Calling on You, I like. But I don't like the ballads either. I haven't heard one yet that I've liked by him. And the follow-up, Soldiers Under Command, this one was $15. Super cool. Now I have the first, 2 albums by them and EP, which I've been wanting to get. I had these on cassette, but I haven't had them on vinyl. I don't think I've ever had this on vinyl, Soldiers Under Command. I've always had a copy of To Hell with the Devil, but not this one. So this is great. It's probably more cohesive than the Yellow and Black Attack. I don't know if it rocks as hard. I haven't listened to this in a long time. I'm pretty sure it still probably rocks pretty hard. Soldiers Under Command is great. The Rock That Makes Me Roll is great on here. Reach Out is pretty good. Surrender. Some of these songs are pretty good. Obviously, I don't know if I'd call Stryper hair metal or not. Oh, this one is white vinyl, guys. I didn't even check that quality on this one. Pretty cool to have this. So this is definitely a reissue. But this came out in '85, I believe, on the Enigma label. Pretty cool to have. I like Stryper. This one was 15. The next, we're almost done with the original records, and then I got a few extras I'm going to show you towards the end. So we might get done right around an hour today, guys, which would be really cool for me. This one I took a chance on. I bought like a few of their CDs really cheap, and it kind of etched in me. I mean, I got their like 2 or 3 of their CDs for like 50 cents, so I was like fucking cool with that. But yeah, this one I think I had on CD, but I saw it was $19. It's the second album by the Black Heart Procession with Black Heart Procession 2. See the 2 right there? Yes. Band, I think they're from San Diego. They're kind of interesting band to me. At heart, this band is kind of almost like a gothic rock band, but they also have some like a little bit of an indie sound. I mean, this is on Touch and Go, so and have kind of a cinematic sort of scope to them, like cinematic music. And the vocals on here are so much better, I think, and I forget the guy's name, Paul something. The lead singer's vocals are terrific on this album. They really grow, and it really helps this music. When you're singing kind of from the heart like this, or from a dark place, like it's easier to be over the top than to be taken seriously, I think. I mean, you have to kind of be over the top, but you also have to kind of be like, you know. And this is quite good. I like Black Heart Procession. I would definitely buy more albums by this group. I'm always moving around because I'm never comfortable on my couch. But yeah, this is pretty fucking good. Like I said, there's a real like cinematic kind of quality to it, and it has like ambient soundscapes in it, but it's kind of gothic, psychedelic indie rock a little bit. But maybe not so much psychedelic, but whatever. You got my hint. This one I picked up this weekend too. Morbid Angel. This is Abominations of Desolation, the '86 demos. And so a lot of the songs on this were fucking released on other albums that they had, like Altars of Madness and stuff. Some of those other albums, some of those songs were released. So these are earlier demos, one of the great death metal bands of their time, 1986. I certainly like this sort of like kind of when they release stuff like this. I have like a Carcass demos. I kind of like these things, you know. I like Morbid Angel. I have Altars of Madness on album, and I think this is just on black vinyl, guys. I don't think I'm going to excite you too much. Nope. Yeah, just on black vinyl. It's good. I have not listened to this yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be raw as fuck. Probably early death metal, you know. Morbid Angel were one of the earlier ones. I always forget that everybody thinks Death was the first one, but I don't know if they were, to be honest. If this came out in '86, this was a year before Death, but I think Death's demos came out earlier than that. They did, I believe. So maybe Death is the first one. So somebody will tell me if I'm wrong. It's especially when it comes to that shit, because metalheads are like so like, you know, no, that wasn't it, that wasn't it, you know, like that kind of shit. We're running close to being at an hour, guys, and so much for trying to get this done within an hour. I am really sorry. Yeah, we're at an hour, but I only have 2 left. And this crazy ass band from Texas, Fearless Iranians from Hell, would die for ally, for Allah. Oh my God. This band is fucking crazy. Great hardcore from the state of Texas. The lead singer was a supporter of fucking the Ayatollah, was it Khomeini or whatever, and so this band had definitely had its sort of like, and I think that might have been tongue in cheek, but this band definitely had haters, and at one point they were getting death threats, so they dissolved, I think, fairly early on. I don't think they were around for too long, but this is the first album they made. It's great hardcore. It's fucking awesome. It's mean, nasty, fucking great sounding hardcore from the 80s. But the story behind this, you have to read about the story behind it, because I'm only giving you the brief thing on it, but it's fucking crazy. Like these guys, man, I think he was made comments about the Ayatollah that were like sentimental and supportive, and you know that dude was hated by Americans. All right, and the last album I'm going to show you that I got from Jerk Dog, this one was a total like random buy. This is the Buzzcocks Singles Going Steady. This one was 26. I just thought, and I grabbed it. There was no rhyme or reason for it, but I do like the Buzzcocks. I've never really had anything by them on vinyl. Nothing by them on vinyl. Just a few CDs. I think I had this on CD at one point. I don't really need to go into the Buzzcocks. You guys know all about this band. These are the first 8 singles and B-sides. And Orgasm Addict is great. Never Fallen in Love is really poppy. Oh Shit, Autonomy, Noise a Noise. There's some good tracks on here. That's good British punk. And it's definitely got some poppiness and melody to it too, which I kind of like. So there's the back of the band right there. Okay, so that's it for the Jerk Dog stuff. I'm going to go through, I am going to show you today, regardless of the time or not, I'm going to show you 3 albums I picked up at a flea market here in Bradenton. And the guy who owns the, like his store within the flea market is a great guy named Bob. And his selection has gotten better. He's the only one that sells records in there, and his records are starting to get better and better. And he goes, "Oh, I got to show you guys something." But he's got this like Chicago voice, so he's like, "Oh, I got to show you guys something. I got something. You're gonna love it," and all this shit. So he came and showed us, and these are the 3 records I picked up. All like fucking, I got $20 a piece for these records. So Sabotage, The Dungeons Are Calling on the Combat label here, fucking awesome. Follow up their second album, like I said, the follow up from Sirens. This is so good. Definitely still within that, fantasy element stuff. Yeah, I think everything I got was on Combat, maybe. But yeah, big step up from, I think, Sirens. Really, really good stuff here. And Sabotage. I'm not going to go in depth on these. I just kind of want to more show them in anything. Running Wild with Gates to Purgatory. This is the first album by Running Wild. Kind of more like fucking Satanic. Before just a few albums later, they did Under the Jolly Rogers and became pirate metal. I think this is heavy. I think it almost borderlines on being like speed thrash stuff. I mean, this group is great, and they would name themselves obviously after probably the Judas Priest song Running Wild. But I think this is heavier than Judas Priest and way more fucking satanic than anything that I think they did afterwards. This is so fucking good. Really good, Running Wild. So, yeah, $20 for that. That's a steal to get this old classic metal for so cheap. And Unveiling the Wicked, Exciter. New guitar player comes on board, and people are a little, like hardcore fans who wanted the speed metal are a little disappointed. This is going more into I think there's even keyboards on this, going more into having some melody, but there's still enough bangers on here. Like Break Down the Walls is a terrific song on here. I like Die in the Night. I know a lot of people hate that song, but I like Die in the Night. What is not good on here, of course, is I Hate School Rules. That song is ridiculous, man. That's like a song Quiet Riot could and that's not even a dig on Quiet Riot, but it's kind of the truth. So yeah, fucking Exciter on that Combat label. Yeah, those three I picked up for 20. I picked those up a while ago. I wanted to show them on my last video, but I just didn't have the time. I barely have the time now because I'm running at about 105. So this is going to be the last video I show for a while before I show anything, because I'm going to England on May 9th, and I'll be gone for at least a week and a half. I'm definitely going to do a records pickup from England. Maybe I can incorporate. I don't have YouTube editor, but I might show like a footage of me going in the stores and stuff like that. I'm hitting one for sure, All Ages, which is a punk store, but I might hit a few other like small stores, and obviously that what they call thrift stores there are charity shops. They sell a lot of vinyl, so we're going to hit a lot of those kind of stores while we're there. And I'm going to pick up some clothes too, and pick up some stuff for my brother, and pick up some stuff for some coworkers and all that kind of shit. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have today. I don't think I said really or tickled that much in that video. Yeah, so that's pretty good for me, because I go back and watch my videos to kind of critique to see where I can get better. And I would love to make the videos shorter. I've thought about it, but I like long videos because I watch my own videos sometimes, and I don't think I'm all that interesting to listen to, so I fall asleep to them sometimes because they're so long. So it's almost like watching Lord of the Rings. I always fell asleep to those movies. Like, I thought they were incredibly boring. I know a lot of people like them, and that's fine. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. So that's my post record store day pickups, along with some stuff I already had. I had to go cheaper this time around because I just didn't have the money. I'm trying to save for there. I already got like probably $400 or $500 for a record allowance over there that I'm going to be buying a lot of records. Some of it's going to be kind of common thrift store stuff, and then some of it's going to be, and I got to be real careful because I can't, spend $1,000 on records over there. I mean, I got to eat and, I have a free place to stay, but I got to eat and I got to buy other things over there than that. So, thank you guys so much for watching this channel, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, as they say in England.